Alright guys, it is Monday, April 12th, 2021 at 11:04 p.m. Alright guys, so I just experienced some cool stuff. I went out shopping, I got a new front door carpet for my home. I was looking for something that was either floral or summertime, so I got something that was more summertime, and it's like a little camper with a beach towel and like a little umbrella and a beach ball. I found it like a cute carpet. But anyways, I encountered something today. Somebody I had commented on YouTube on somebody else's channel. They were talking a lot of meditative stuff, and I commented, Jesus is the way. Don't forget that. And somebody else commented, I like that you commented Jesus is the way, and that's the whole point of my channel. Even though I share the news, Jesus is what I lead people to God and Jesus, the glory always, not mine. I just share the news, and if it helps somebody, that's great. But the whole point is for people to help each other, either by looking at my channel and finding news, or by me saying to them, find Jesus and follow God, because that's the only way we're gonna make it through all of this. There's so much going on in the world, and a lot of people aren't awoken or awake, realizing that we have to traverse everything and stick together, help each other, pray for each other. So anyways, let's start. Okay, first, GMO mosquitoes to be released in the Florida Keys. Scientists and locals want to stop the deployment. It says this spring, the biotechnology company Oxitec plans to release genetically modified mosquitoes in the Florida Keys. Oxitec says its technology will combat dengue fever, a potentially life-threatening disease, and other mosquito-borne viruses, such as Zika, mainly transmitted by the Aedes aegypti mosquito. If I were you, I would try to stop this deployment right now. This is what the article is saying, and then the signs here say, "We are not your experiment, no consent to release of genetically modified mosquitoes." And I 100% agree. Other people who were talking about mosquitoes over time, they were talking about how if you didn't get the vaccine, that possibly they could be transferred or transmitted through mosquito. And I don't know how accurate that is at all, but if they're experimenting with mosquitoes and they can try to stop a disease such as Zika through a mosquito, what else can they do through a mosquito? They've been releasing a lot of stuff over the videos that I've made through mosquito. They release a lot of experimental things, especially in Florida, Texas. So keep your eyes out for that if you live in Florida, or the Florida Keys is where they're releasing these. I'll leave the link to this article so you guys can check it out yourselves. Alright, next. Tropical cyclone Seroja hits Western Australia, leaving a trail of devastation. Here is a satellite image of tropical cyclone Seroja before and after hitting Western Australia. Says tropical cyclone Seroja has ripped across 621-mile stretch of Western Australia, leaving a trail of damage. The Category 3 storm made landfall near the town of Kalbarri on Sunday, with gusts of 105 miles an hour. So I'll leave the article so you guys can see the videos if you feel like clicking on that and checking that out. That is a pretty strong storm. Tropical cyclone Seroja. Alright, next. Mysterious rainbow on Mars. On April 4th, NASA's Perseverance Mars rover snapped a photo showing a rainbow stretching across the Martian sky. Let's see if I can somehow zoom in this so you guys can see this rainbow better. Look at that. Alright, so Mars apparently now has rainbows. You would probably need an atmosphere for that, moisture or crystals or ice crystals or water for a rainbow to form. You need crystals or water and the sunlight somehow reflecting in the atmosphere. So this is quite interesting. There's, you can see a little bit of red and orange in that rainbow, and a little bit of blue and maybe a little bit of purple in there. But that's pretty interesting. I found that Interesting that there's a rainbow on Mars. Let's see what they're saying about it. It says some Twitter users erroneously posted the arc as a dust bow, made from light reflecting of fine dust particles on the red planet's surface on April 6th. The NASA Perseverance rover Twitter account stepped in with the real story. The rainbow in the photo is actually a lens flare. Okay, that's something that's better, because I was like, you need some kind of moisture or crystals or something to make that rainbow. Something that occurs when light hits the camera lens at a certain angle. So it is not an actual rainbow. Rainbows aren't possible there. Rainbows are created by light reflected off of round water droplets. But there isn't enough water here to condense. It's too cold for liquid water in the atmosphere. The arc is a lens flare. Alright, so that's clear. It is a lens flare. Alright, next. I'll leave the link to that article as well if you want to check it out. Next, directed lighting attacks and kills 68 goats in Portugal. A lightning strike killed 68 goats across the Valdez, Portugal on April 9th, 2021. The shepherd was walking on his mobile phone when he suddenly heard two extremely loud thunderclaps coming out of nowhere. And there you see the goats strewn about the pathway. Two lightning claps and 68 goats less. It says after the surprising bangs, the farmer looked in the direction of his 300 goats, only 100 meters from him. He noticed that some of his animals were walking abnormally and decided to check if everything was okay. Says this is when he discovered, horrified, 68 dead goats all in a line. So, Shepherd Dario Lima has never seen something like this in his 40 years of existence. He thinks his animals have exploded from the inside. Portugal, 68 goats died from lightning. A goat farmer tells his raised 300 goats in the canny fields. He called at that moment like rain. Later he heard loud thunder, but didn't care because the sound was far away. The herd was 100 meters from him. Then he notices some of his goats were walking abnormally, so he went to look into the herd and found that 68 goats were killed by lightning, which was a high damage. That is a lot of goats dead because of lightning. I've been seeing a lot of articles about either deer or antler, like deers with antlers, or like certain herds of animals just dropping dead because of lightning. So that is pretty spooky. Alright, next. The ring of fire is heating up. 3 strong magnitude 6.1 earthquakes hit the Philippines, Indonesia within 5 hours. 6 dead and structural damage in Indonesia in pictures. This was in April 10th. I had covered it on my Twitter channel when the earthquakes were happening. But keep an eye always on the earthquakes. If you guys follow my Twitter channel, you guys can see that I always post any news or earthquakes that happen. So if you want to have a live feed instead of videos like I do here, if you want to have a live feed of constant news, whenever I am on Twitter, I repost everything and I share a lot of news. Alright, next. Gigantic landslide destroys 1 kilometer of road in Peru. Look at the pictures. They are insane. Look at this. I'm gonna zoom in so you guys can see this. Look at the roads just cracked there. That is insane. It says gigantic landslide destroys road in Peru. That looks almost like the earthquake that happened in Alaska a couple years ago. The road just cracked. It says on April 7th afternoon, a large-scale collapse occurred in Kolchaka sector, Huari province. A giant landslide destroyed, and I really mean destroyed, more than 1 kilometer of National Road PE 14A in the district of Ponto Pamchaka, Yungila section. Here's another video depicting the area where the landslide took place. So if you guys want to check out these videos of the road and the landslide, I'll leave the link so you guys can check out the page. It says according to the Regional Emergency Operations Center, Ancash, the village of Kulacha has to be evacuated urgently, and it also could be swept away. The landslide triggered widespread power outages in the district of Huachaki, Anra Uko, Rapuyan, Puacas, and Huachis in the province of Huari, as well as bordering provinces. It is all in Peru. I apologize if I did not pronounce any of those names correctly, as I am not Peruvian. I apologize a lot of times from these videos, either where I'm reading something from India or from another country. I am not very well versed in other languages. So, it says landslide in Huari, Peru, caused by active geological fault, destroying more than 1 kilometer road. In Kulachuca sector in Ancash region, there is a natural damaging of the Puanca River posing a risk. And then they have the post here with all these pictures of the landslide. So I'll leave a link so you guys can check out this insane landslide in Peru. Alright, next. Anomalous cold blast hits Alaska with record-breaking blizzard-like conditions. As a historic cold blast brings strong storm with record low temperatures and strong winds to Alaska in April of 2021. And then you see pictures there of the cars covered in snow. Some areas are still in winter. If you through the winter was over in if you thought the winter was over in Anchorage, the National Weather Service has some bad news for you. Unseasonably cold air swept into Alaska's largest city Thursday, and forecasters expect it to stay throughout the weekend. So potential for record-breaking low temperatures on Friday from NWS Anchorage. It says Friday night to Saturday morning. Across South Central, dress warm and stay safe. For your local forecast, visit weather.gov/AFC. There are cold snaps and other cold weather still happening in Alaska. It says the Weather Service is warning of wind chills as low as 25 minus degrees. There are also high wind warnings in effect for the Whittier and Seaward areas. First records of the snow. Then they have -5 degree weather in King Salmon, and the old record is -2. So it is quite cold still in Anchorage. I'll leave the link so you guys can check out that story. Alright, next let's take a look at the forecast models so you guys can see what the weather is for the next coming days. I'll just play it and talk about it. Snow in the Midwest, still rain in the south over Texas around April 17th. Heading to the East Coast, there's still snow around April 19th and 20th in the middle of the country. Alright, more snow for Montana, more rain for Texas and the let's go back a little bit, the middle of the country here on the April 24th and 23rd. Let's play that. The 24th, storm possible over Texas and Louisiana, and rain and storms in the middle of the country. Alright, April 25th as well, over Oklahoma, Arkansas, Texas, and parts of Louisiana. Some rain heading over for the East Coast on April 26th. There's a low of 988 millibars over Canada and the Great Lakes region, and over the East Coast some rain on April 26th, bringing some snow as well for the northeastern part of the country. Alright, so that's what that forecast runs for the GFS has for the next couple of days. Alright, now let's take a look quickly here at my, this is Twitter. It says, excuse me, protest continue for second night in Minnesota after medical examiner rules police shooting of Daunte Wright a homicide. It says a second night of protests is underway following the fatal police shooting of Daunte Wright, a 20-year-old black man, on Sunday during a traffic stop in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota. The shooting was ruled a homicide caused by a gunshot wound to the chest, according to the county medical examiner. Excuse me, guys. Alright, during a press conference on Monday, Police Chief Tim Gannon said he believes the officer meant to pull a taser when Wright was shot and called the incident an accidental discharge. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey both announced 7 p.m. curfews on Monday. It says what you need to know. A 20-year-old Daunte Wright was fatally shot by an officer on Sunday during a traffic stop. Wright's death was ruled a homicide. The police chief called the shooting an accidental discharge, saying the officer intended to use a taser. The officer involved has been identified as Kim Potter, a 26-year-old veteran. Demonstrations are ongoing outside the Brooklyn Center Police Department, and vigils have taken place nationwide. So this is something that I had covered before, not this protest and this shooting, but throughout the year, last year, there were plenty of protests going on, and the energy that you felt just looking at people who lived in cities trying to protect themselves from everything that was happening. It was straight up wrong and evil, and you could feel it. People were talking about staying away from cities, moving to the countryside, and you needing Jesus because Jesus is what protects you from all these bad energies that people carry when they bring protest. Um, I pray for the people in these protests because if they stay home, it's better. But at the same time, I understand that they have to go out there and stand up for what's right. Of somebody being shot isn't right, but I pray for them. So please pray for the people going through these protests. May they stay safe. May Jesus protect and watch over them because it is intense. And also pray for the people living anywhere near the cities and downtowns this year because we will need it. I don't know if more protests and more shootings are going to happen. The signs that the trouble is here, you know what I'm saying? Like, all these troubling times, people becoming snappier with each other, becoming angrier, just fighting with each other, people protesting, people just, there's an unease in the air, so please pray for each other. And now let's go to my page, Space River News. I always keep this pinned, family, friends, and Jesus, because that's what we need to help each other get through everything. Alright, so from AFP News, it says, breaking. China says release of Fukushima water damaging and extremely irresponsible. Breaking. Japan to release treated Fukushima water into the sea. I talked about this in another video that I had made, that Japan was getting ready to release the water because they said they couldn't contain it anymore, and that's gonna affect a lot of people. You think, oh, it's just in Japan, that's all the way across the country. No. People in California, when this first happened, years ago, when the Fukushima area got struck by the earthquake and it leaked into the water, people in California had tested the ocean water in California, and they had found the radiation in their water. So that's just when it leaked. Now imagine all of these gallons of water that are full of radiation that are going to be released into the sea. All of the Pacific is pretty much going to be full of radiation, and who knows if it's going to reach the Atlantic. So please pray for the people who live alongside Japan or China or Vietnam or the whole coastal region of California, the whole Pacific and Atlantic. Please pray for the fisheries, people who have to fish and catch fish, and please be aware if you order food or order fish from anywhere in the Pacific. This is possibly going to affect or alter your food, so keep an eye on that as well. Alright, next. Reuters Science News. 12 black and white Magellanic penguins have been returned to the chilly seas of the Atlantic coast of Argentina after they were rescued, suffering from issues including malnutrition and anemia, and nursed back to health. So Argentine penguins waddle back to the sea after rehab on dry land. So these 12 penguins are returned safely. That is awesome. Alright, from Reed Timmer. Destructive guerrilla hail at the Llano Cowboy Church, 7 miles west of Llano, Texas. Just deployed subsonic sensor. Hail to baseballs. So he's having issues with his windshield, as you can see. Reed Timmer is an extreme. I call him the extreme because he is the extreme. He goes right into tornadoes and he'll encounter whatever and make it through the other side. So I pray for him always, and I know he'll be alright, but Look at his windshield. His car is dented, and he's got a whole bunch of windshield damage. So please pray for Reed Timmer as he encounters tornadoes and he does his thing. Alright, next from RT, hundreds of counter-protesters gather in South California to demonstrate against White Lives Matter rally, for which only a handful of supporters showed up. So this is what I was talking about. Protests starting to build up again, unease in the streets. Please pray for the people who are going out to protest and having to put their lives in danger, having to encounter people yelling at each other. It is such unease. Alright, next from AccuWeather. After drenching parts of Indonesia, tropical cyclone Seroja is bringing heavy rain and strong winds to Western Australia. I had covered that in an earlier article that I covered. Tropical cyclone, here it is. Tropical cyclone Seroja heads Western Australia. So please pray for the people in Australia. Alright, next from Weather Nation. Here is a satellite view of Saint Vincent volcano erupting on Sunday. The National Emergency Management Organization in Saint Vincent reported the country had a massive power outage and was covered in ash after a volcano in Soufriere erupted Sunday, April 11th. So please pray for the people in Saint Vincent and anywhere in the Atlantic that has to do with volcanoes and affected by this ash plume, because a lot of people, let's see if I can look it up. Saint Vincent, let's see if it actually spelled it. Saint Vincent volcano. Alright, let's look it up live and see, well, as live as a video gets, and see the effects. This is the ash cloud. Almost completely obscures the island of Saint Vincent after the Soufriere volcano erupted explosively on April 9th. Wow. Ash clouds from the Soufriere volcano reaches the island of Barbados, about 110 miles from Saint Vincent. So here are cars being covered in ash from this volcano 110 miles from the island. So please pray for the people of the Caribbean having to deal with this volcano. Alright guys, that's it for this video. 22 minutes, that's a pretty long video. Alright guys, that's it for this video. Hit like and subscribe for more news. Please pray for each other having to deal with so much happening in the country. Please pray for the people who do the protests, people through the volcanic ashes and everything that's happening. And also check out my Twitter page so you guys can keep up with the brand new news that I repost continuously. Alright guys, see you next time. God bless you guys.